Hello, I am Captain Tom, and I'll be your host during your stay on board the Silverwind tonight. So we got a couple stories today, not just one. The first one is going to be a tale of giant tricks. The other one is going to be called The Price of Tir Nanog. So both these stories are Irish legends, and the first one is actually the story behind the Giant's Causeway. They're really awesome stories. I can't wait to share them with you guys. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about the Silverwind and our mission, and that's simply that we are fighting against the chaos that is growing in our cultures and connections, and the best way to bring people together is actually through shared stories. That's the way that people have always done it, and that's what we're going to be doing here tonight with stories that have time-tested universal meaning. So we'll read the story in the reading room. I'll give you guys my thoughts on it, and then we'll just kind of move on from there to I guess the next story, and then we'll give Wilson an opportunity to earn your like and subscribe because he doesn't believe I could do it on my own. And speaking of Wilson, we are joined by my co-host tonight. He's an intergalactic robot. I already said it. His name is Wilson, and he's also the reason that the intro was delayed. So that's completely on him. We were starting the show, and he never even made it live to YouTube. It's like he's never done this before. Anyways, so with that said, first thing we have to do before we do anything else is we have to read our sponsors. So we got to let's see. Hey Wilson, you got the clipboard with the sponsors? Wait. What do you mean I had it? I thought if I don't have it, I thought you had it. Well, okay, fine. I had it earlier. I was walking over to the bridge. You were working on an airlock, and you said you needed my help. I said I do too much around here already. You said you really need it, so I helped you with my superior human hands, and then didn't have it anymore. So, hey, Wilson, you mind checking the airlock real quick, grabbing that clipboard? What do you mean you exercise the airlock? Like, how do you exercise an airlock? That doesn't make any sense. Hold up. Let's, what do you mean, look? Oh, that's not good. You know what? Looks like we don't have any sponsors today. That's totally fine. We'll have some sponsors next time, but at least we sponsor ourselves. So if you want to do more than just to like and subscribe to support the show, you can always check out the link in the description to check out my book that's on Amazon. It's called Mercy for the Fallen, Legacy of Hope, a little action adventure story. And I can promise you two things. It is both a simple and fun read. So if you're into that, you want to check that out, it is in the link below. So with that said, I guess we'll go ahead and first things first, before we go to the reading room, the Silverwind can do more than just go to other planets and galaxies. It can go to any time in any place, and fairy worlds are no different. So we're actually going to travel to Tir Nanog, and we got to go ahead and fire up these engines. Let's get this going, Wilson. See here. All right. You got it. Is it working? Oh, there it is. Perfect. It's always so trippy. All right. Went pretty smoothly so far, Wilson. Okay, so we are at Tir Nanog, and I know you can't really see from here because we're still way up in the air. So we're gonna go ahead and use one of the 3 PDs that we've got. Those are those little drone crafts that you guys see when you're coming into the ship. They're like little spheres. They're like unmanned crafts that kind of zip around pretty quick. So Wilson, you deploy one of the 3 PDs. 3PD2 will work, and should be there right about now. Let's go to the feed. And there it is. So that is Tir Nanog. It's looks like it's late at night over here. So yeah, it's kind of eerie looking, but pretty magical forest, pretty nice. So we'll see here. There we go. So anyways, that is where we are at. Very, very nice. We're kind of laying low as well because, the things that Wilson did on the last episode was a little problematic, but with that, we're just going to go ahead and go to the reading room, get into that reading segment. So let's do that right now. All right, so I had Wilson help teleport me over here, so it'd be a little bit faster. This is the reading room, and yeah, we're under the night sky at Tirnanog, and let's see here. We want to get this view a little bit closer here. All right, so when I do the reading, we're gonna go to that far view just so you guys aren't having to stare at my face the whole time we're doing the reading. We'll cut out all the distractions, and yeah, with that said, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the first story. So the first story is called The Tale of Giant Tricks. There's actually, and this is the way it is with a lot of myths and older stories, tends to be a lot of different versions of it. So you can ask different people, some people have had, this version, that version, different details involved with that. I tried to scour as many versions as I could to find all the details that were in those and try to combine it together so we could form one nice cohesive story that complements all of them. So with that said, the main hero for this, his name is Finn McCool, and he's not the only hero. There's actually another really big here in this story, but I'll let that be a reveal. But yeah, so for a second of all, the Finn McCool's got to be the most awesome giant name I've ever heard of. But he has a lot of legendary feats. There's actually a lot of stories with Finn McCool. But today we're going to be reading one that has to do with the Giant's Causeway. So it's a pretty legendary one, really fun. And we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. All right. It is said the Irish giant and hero Finn McCool had many adventures and legendary feats under his name. His fame traveled even across the sea to Scotland, where the Scottish giant Banandiner lived. Banandiner didn't think that any man was bigger or stronger than he was, so he hurled insults across the sea to Finn McCool. Finn hurled insults back, and so the two giants became bitter rivals. One day, Finn became so angry that he decided he was going to challenge Banandiner. But there was a problem. Finn didn't know how to swim. He set himself to task by building a causeway. He used long stone columns that he pulled from the earth and threw them into the ocean like spears, creating a causeway from Northern Ireland to Scotland. Now it is important to note that neither man had ever seen the other to know what they looked like. When the giant's causeway was complete, Finn shouted a challenge to the Scottish giant Banandiner to cross the causeway and fight him. But as soon as he saw the Scot getting closer and closer on the causeway, he realized Banandiner was much, much bigger than he had imagined. Although Finn was a giant and a great man, Banandiner was a true giant, easily twice Finn's size. So what did Finn do? He ran home to Fort of Allen in County Kildare and told his wife, Una, he'd picked a fight, but had since changed his mind. Now, it's important to note here in this story, I'll break from the story real quick, that when Finn made his retreat, Banandiner did not actually get a glimpse of Finn himself. So, we continue. Una, like many of the Irish women, was very clever. She told Finn to help her build a large cradle. Upon completing the cradle, Finn heard the stamping feet of Banandiner, who came knocking on Finn's door. Calling out for the coward to face him, Finn, however, would not answer, so his wife shoved him in the cradle and draped a couple sheets over him. Una opened the door, saying, Finn is away hunting deer in County Kerry. Would you like to come in anyway? I'll show you the Great Hall, so you can sit down after your journey. Banandiner agreed and decided he would wait for this Finn McCool to return home and finally settle their grudge. Would you like to put your spear down next to Finn's? She asked, showing him a huge fir tree tipped with a pointed stone at the top. Over there is Finn's shield, she said, pointing to a block of building oak as big as 4 chariot wheels. The Scottish giant was amazed since his own spear and shield were nowhere near that heavy. Finn's late for his meal. Will you eat it if I cook his favorite? Banandiner thought, surely this man's appetite cannot compare to mine, and agreed to dine. Una baked bread with iron inside of it, so when Banandiner bit into it, he broke 3 front teeth. The meat was a strip of hard fat nailed to a block of red timber, so Banandiner bit into it and cracked his 2 back teeth. Una then showed Banandiner into the garden, which was scattered with boulders as tall as the giant. Finn and his friends played catch with these rocks. Finn practices by throwing one over the fort, then running around to catch it before it falls, she said. Banandiner tried, but the boulder was so massive he could barely lift it above his head before dropping it. Seeing the Scot was fearful, but not yet in fright, Una asked, "Would you like to say hello to the baby?" She brought him over to the cradle where Finn was hiding, and then lifted the sheets. To Benandiner, he saw only the largest baby he had ever seen and thought, any man who is father to that child is most definitely a monster too great to fight. Stricken with fear, he told Una he could wait no longer, as he had to return to Scotland before the tide came in. Seeing Benandiner run with all his might, Finn leapt from the cradle and chased Benandiner out of Ireland, digging a huge piece of earth out of the ground. Finn flung it at the Scot. The earth he threw missed Benandiner and landed in the middle of the Irish Sea, becoming the Isle of Man. From the stones thrown by Finn and the heavy feet of Benandiner's retreat, both giants tore up the giant's causeway, leaving only the stony paths at the two shores, which you can still see today. All right, so that is the story of A Tale of Giant Tricks. So a couple things that I want to point out in the story, really one main thing, is the theme of the story. So the theme is fear and courage. Now, I think we can all point to Una as the one with courage and really one of the main heroes of this story. Finn spends most of the story kind of hiding in a cradle. But having said that, there's an interesting thing going on that I didn't catch the first time I ever read this story, and that's that how much is what Una is telling Benandiner actually a lie? Now, obviously, the baby in the cradle was an obvious lie, but what about the rest of it? Now, a lot of it seems a bit far-fetched, like she's lying to Benandiner, really inflating who Finn is in order to scare Benandiner away, which is pretty clever if that's what's going on. But there's other context in the story that makes it seem like it's not just like that's not the whole picture of what's going on. So the meal that she cooks Benandiner, the rock being thrown up and over the castle, all seems really far-fetched until you see when Finn chases after Benandiner, he picks up earth that's so large and throws it at the giant that when it lands into the sea, it forms an entire island. Now, earlier, Benandiner couldn't pick up a rock that was his size, right? So that means that Finn is actually many times stronger than Benandiner this entire time. So because he was afraid, he cowered in a cradle and his nemesis is walking around in his home. But it really calls into question, was Una really lying when she said that was his shield and his spear? Was she lying about throwing the rocks over the castle? Because that seems like a much lesser feat than being able to throw an island's worth of material into the ocean. So that kind of brings me to, what we talk about with our mission here on the Silverwind. And that's the chaos that's growing in our cultures. It's growing in our connections with, back on Earth. And fear, well, I'll say this. So last episode I talked about one of the greatest expressions of chaos, and that was death. In this one, we're getting to see one of the greatest weapons of chaos, and that's fear. Because you could be the stronger person, but if you're made to be afraid, then, I don't think it's much different than the situation we see here with Finn, where he cowers, even though he's the stronger one in this battle between the giants. So something to think about, the people out there who are, and there are many of them, who are doing everything they can to make you as afraid as possible of all the different things out there. You got to really question those things and question the fear itself, because once you're afraid, then a lot of critical thinking or your abilities in general just kind of go out the window. Had Finn just faced Benandiner outright, it clearly would have been many times stronger, but anyways, well, that's kind of what comes to mind with that story. So we'll go ahead and move into the other one. And see if you guys see the chats here. Lisa and Jose, thanks for joining. Nice. All right. And once again, this is a live show, because if you guys have anything, any questions or anything like that, want to engage in conversation about the stories, then yeah, this is totally the place to do that. So once I get through the story, we can do some, I guess go through some questions and talk about some things if you guys want to. If not, we'll just continue on. So with that, let's go ahead and get into our next reading now. This one is closely related to the story we just read, because this is actually following the son, Oisin, of Finn McCool. So this would be Oisin McCool. And he also has a bunch of other legends and feats under his name. And so this is kind of the story that's at the end of all of that. And it has to do with the place Tir na Nog that we are over right now. So yeah, we'll get to learn about that a little bit. Oh, and I will say this as well. So the Irish fairy world, now because of Disney and things like that, when we think of fairy worlds, we think of maybe pixies, or think of like a great place that, a good thing, right? Well, that's not necessarily the case with a lot of lore, especially Irish lore. Things like leprechauns and fairies were not necessarily things you want to come across. Generally, things that when the fairy world interacts with the mortal world, there tend to be a lot of shenanigans that didn't work out so well for the mortals. So it was definitely a place of, something to be fearful of by and large in Irish mythology. Not completely, but there's plenty of that there. So with that context, we're going to go ahead and jump right into the story. Tir na Nog, or Land of the Young, is an otherworldly realm from Irish mythology whose inhabitants are gifted with eternal youth, beauty, health, and happiness. It was said to be the home of the ancient gods and fairies, but humans are forbidden. Mortals could only enter Tir na Nog if they were invited by one of its inhabitants, or on a Silverwind spaceship to go to any time and any place. That's beside the point. Tir na Nog features in many Irish stories, but the most famous one is about Oisin, son of Finn McCool. Oisin was out hunting with his father's tribe, the Fianna, when they noticed something moving across the ocean on a wave. Fearing an invasion, they hurried to the coast and prepared for battle, only to find the most beautiful woman any of them had ever seen. She approached the men, introducing herself as Niamh, daughter of the god of the sea, from Tir na Nog. The men were afraid of her as they thought she was a fairy woman, but Oisin introduced himself. The two instantly fell in love. But Niamh was bound to return to Tir na Nog. Unable to bear leaving her beloved Oisin, she invited him to come back with her. The only catch was that he could not return to the mortal world. He would have to make a decision, but Oisin, truly in love with Niamh, accepted her invitation, leaving his family and fellow warriors behind. Once they crossed back over the sea to the realm of Tir na Nog, Oisin received all the gifts it was famous for: everlasting youth, beauty, health, and of course, the ultimate happiness with his new love. However, after a few years passed, he began to miss his family that he left behind. Because Niamh loved Oisin so much, she told him of a way he could go back and return if that would cure him of his grief. She gave him her horse to travel back to the mortal world, but warned him that he could not touch the ground or he would become mortal again and would never be able to return to Tir na Nog. Oisin rode the magical horse across the water to his former home, but something was wrong. His family and friends' homes were occupied by people he had never met. The once familiar landmarks and structures were all foreign to him as well. Eventually, he came across 3 men on the road, so he asked them where his people were. They told him they had all died many years ago. Remembering that time passes much slower in Tir na Nog than in the mortal world, Oisin was devastated. In his grief, he rode the magical steed quickly, hoping to see anything that might look familiar to him. But the hard ride and lack of focus caused him to fall from the horse. The moment he touched the ground, he was instantly transformed into an old man. Since he had touched the ground, he was unable to travel back to his love, Niamh, in Tir na Nog. He told his story and where he had been to many people in Ireland, and soon died of a broken heart. All right, so why does this story end on such a sad note? So, fictional stories are not just vessels for entertainment and feelings. They're meant to grab your attention. Good fiction isn't about fiction at all. It's about reality. It's about truth that isn't easily observed. So Oisin found his greatest life that he could possibly live. Here, let me go ahead and switch the scenes here. Oisin found the best possible circumstances for living the best life he could possibly live. I mean, eternal youth, the happiness, just all of it. And yet there was a price that he had to pay in order to have all these wonderful things. And it was simply, and it's not like it was a vice, not like it was bad for him to miss his family, but it was something that he had to commit to, something he had to give up in order to have all these good things in his life. But he fixated not on any of the good things, he fixated on the one thing he didn't have. Once again, not a vice. It's a good thing to miss them, but he was so fixated on it that it actually stole all of his happiness and made him obsess about that one thing. And so he tried to essentially eat his cake and have it too, which is the way the saying is supposed to be. If you've eaten your cake, you can't also have it, right? And so with that discontentment, it actually causes him to lose everything. And I think that's something that, speaks to, it speaks to me, right? I see, it's interesting to me. Some of the things I think about when I see the world that we live in, you think about like ancient kings and queens and stuff. They lived in these castles, and they had all these people that would wait on them and stuff. But like, why would someone go through all the effort to try and be that kind of position in history? Well, it's because it was the good life. You had so many comforts. Life was so much easier. You didn't have to work out in the field to survive. And yet, I would say the average person today in modern society, especially in Western civilization, more than just the average person, even people who would be considered poor or lower income, they have things like AC, a refrigerator, a working plumbing system. They don't have to poop in a bucket or anything like kings had to. So essentially, people today live much better than even some of the highest royalty did only, a few hundred years ago. And it's interesting to me that it seems that it's still so easy for us as human beings to fixate on the things we don't have and drive ourselves into discontentment, even to the point of where I think we even risk losing all the good things we have with it. So I don't know, this is something that was really weighing on my mind when I read this story. Kind of makes me want to be a little bit more content in general. But I would love to hear you guys' thoughts. If you guys are on the live stream, you can post your thoughts on live stream. If you guys are watching the show after the fact, then by all means, please leave a comment below. I'll check those out and we'll continue the conversation there. So all right, yes, Jose, we live in like kings. That is very, very true. Even better, right? We live in even better than kings. Think of like they had no way of even conceptualizing what like a PS5 and being able to have food that was out of season, all that different stuff. It's just amazing how far we've gotten as a human society. But yeah. So anyways, wonderful stories. Hopefully you guys enjoyed those. We're going to go ahead and go to our segment where Wilson is going to try and earn your like and subscribe. So we'll do that at the front of the ship whenever, which is that way actually. So we'll go ahead and go to that right now. All right, so here we are. Now, Wilson, you told me it was very tame and there was no way it could go wrong. So what was this idea that you had? Let's see here. Let me go ahead and make sure. There we go. Wait, a dance party? Wait, hold up. I guess it's not a bad idea, but it's just like kind of not. Okay, all right. Wait, what research did you do that made you feel like that would be the best way to earn people's likes and subscribe? Was it like some study, or you watched Footloose last night? Okay, well, people do like that movie. Well, it's usually not my thing, but yeah, well, let's go ahead. We're gonna go ahead, get some music going. Do you have some music, Wilson? Let's see this. Where is this thing at? Let's see here. Here we go. Right. Let's get this going. Here we go. All right, so everyone, Wilson wants you guys to have some music that you could dance to. So if you would like to, wherever you are, even if it's just a little dance, maybe you're in a public place, but if we're all dancing together, that's something we could be doing together, the whole world right now that we're broadcasting to. And yeah, so hey, Wilson, let's go ahead and let's get the light show thing going. The lasers that we normally do. No, I don't need your, just hit the lasers, dude. There we go. Ah, there it is. All right, so we got lasers. We've got music. So yeah. All right, everyone get ready to hit it. On the count of 3. 1, 2. Whoa, 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 Wilson, stop the music, stop the music. No, stop the music. Hold up. I can't even see what's going on. What's happening down there? Hold on, no, stop the lasers too. Wilson, I need you to stop everything right now. Okay, I can't even see what's going on. That doesn't look right. Wilson, could you go to the 3PD? Yeah, let's go to that. Let's see what is happening over there right now. What? How did we? Oh, Wilson, we've never tested the lasers over ground. We've only done that in outer space. Oh boy. I mean, do we have a way to put out fires? No? Okay. Well, that was not intentional. Okay. I think we should probably get out of here. So let's go ahead and just do that. Mosey on back. You know what? You know, the land of the fairy world, Tir-na-nog, you know, nothing lasts forever. So I think this is probably the best thing that we can do right now is just get on out of here. Is the engine firing up? Is it going? Here we go. Whew. All right. Oof indeed. Yeah. Destroy the worlds. No, that was totally Wilson. That no. You can't try to explain things to me in the middle of the show, okay? Like, no. Listen, you're the one who turned the lasers on. If you were trying to warn me about it, then you knew what would happen. So that's on you, man. So anyways, I don't know. We still plan on fixing Paralandriana, but I don't think there's any hope for Tir-na-nog. Anyways, we're just gonna go ahead and probably end the show on that note, unfortunately. So yeah, well, with that said, I appreciate you guys joining. We will definitely, we'll try to do this as often as we can. You know, I think it was 2 months ago since I did the last show. These shows, yeah, it's a little bit to put together, but I've also had a lot of stuff going on in life between getting married, going on a honeymoon, getting a car accident. So there's been a few things that have, prevented the show from coming out too regularly. But that's all the more reason to hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell, making sure that I'll always put up a notification, try to make like 2 or 3 days in advance so you can plan out the time and we can all hang out and do this show. So with that, I will go ahead and bring this over to Wilson to hit that outro, and yeah, I'll catch you guys next time.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left.
Oh gosh, Wilson, do you buy more animals? No. Me buying appliances and you buying animals are not the same thing. Oh no. You know what? I did learn something. Yeah, that's right. Share the blame, Wilson. Oh, you didn't know I could do that, did you? What is this? Oh, Wilson, that's barely a comeback. I'll show you how this is done. Let me tell you something, guys. If you want to shut up your robot friends, that's all you got to say. That's all you got to say. Like what? I don't want to hear about artificial intelligence, someone whose education comprised of picking between A, B, C, and D. But dang it. You know what, Wilson? I don't have to take this from you. You know what? That's it. I'm out of here. Screw it.